What up? What it is? What's popping? It's the neighborhood nice guy, K Dot, along with my wonderful, illustrious host, Low Livia Pope, and this is Keeping It 9450, code name WBB. We are back for the season wrap up. Low, what's going on with you, my sister?
Sorry, was trying to send out the link. I'm doing great. I can't I can't complain. I'm black and I'm blessed, so I'm doing good.
That's what's up. And I know it's been a couple weeks since we chopped it up. And there's been a lot that's happened since the last time we had that conversation. I believe our last conversation was gloating over the most valuable player of the league. That was Asia Wilson. And we did few recaps, but a lot, like we said, has happened since we've recorded. And I have to say that before we get into it, I want to first give all flowers, all praise to you because to see how much you've grown in this space in the 3 years, well, I wouldn't say 3 years from a business standpoint. I think it's 2 years from a business standpoint.
Yeah, technically.
But 3 years total, 2 years from a business standpoint, the way you've stood on that business, the way you've conducted your business, and the way you have captivated so many fans around not only the states but around the globe. Literally, the numbers don't lie, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to, give you all of the things that you deserve and how much of a superstar that you are in this space. And we couldn't have done it. We, meaning DA and myself, couldn't have done this without you because you are our MVP. I'm not going to get into the whole Katie, the real MVP, but you are truly our most valuable partner in this business. And I just wanted to, take this opportunity to thank you so much for all that you have done, all that you're doing, all that you will continue to do in this space. You have given so many people so many great quotes, so many great tweets. I saw you on that shave room summer jam screen. So, but all jokes aside, there is none other and no other that can provide you knowledge of the game and provide you entertainment as much as you do. And I promise you that you will get all of the superstar things that's going to come to you. I'm pretty sure there is going to be a show where you're going to be hosting,
We're
where
gonna
you're
speak it
going to
into
be doing
existence.
all of what that is. I've always told you, listen, as long as I'm, laying low in the background and just being in the presence, like I'm okay. But for you, you are going to get all of that. And I wanted to take 5 minutes or more to appreciate you for what you've done for the 9450, not only as a media company, but as a conglomerate. And shout out to everybody else that's a part of the movement. So thank you so much, Lo.
I appreciate it. I wasn't expecting all that. You caught me off guard. But I appreciate that truly. I think that I went from just being like a regular fan, just tweeting about basketball because I genuinely just love basketball, to, UNDA, um, seeing something in me and seeing that I could be in the media space. So I appreciate you guys for always giving me the platform to even begin this process. And regardless of it all, like regardless of, I do believe, because I like to manifest things, so I do believe that we are going to be able to take this a lot further than the places that we're already reaching. But let's say it didn't happen, like I've gained like two people that are legitimately like my family now, so I'm always appreciative for that.
Listen, and I don't want to get emotional, but it's really, really, it's really, really great to see not only the growth, but like DA said, like he always thought you had it. Like
Yeah.
you just have it. And again, we are very, very, very appreciative of everything that you have done for us. Even when last year I said I was going to take a step back, we wanted to put you in the forefront. And
Yeah.
you started killing, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna stay back. And the situation with DA occurred, and DA said, hey man, I'm gonna need you to step up. So I came right back to the plate. And I mean, you've always just been the Asia Wilson of this thing, always been consistent. There's never been a regression about you, and we're gonna clock that when we talk. Um,
Right. That was a good one.
and
That was a good one.
and it's just been such a pleasure. Um, Everything from the time that we've met to now has been so many more positivity that's going on in my personal life as opposed to negativity that I've probably endured before meeting you, because you bring so much great positivity. You bring so much positive reinforcement, not only to myself but to my family as well. And I appreciate you so much for that. But I really wanted to get that out there, because there's not a lot of people in social media, because sometimes social media can be a fantasy,
Yeah.
but this is real. This is
Right.
real life real. Like, our support for each other is real life real.
Yeah.
If somebody is down, we pick each other up. If somebody needs something, we don't hesitate to provide that support for each other. So the world needed to know that, and I wanted to profess that, to everybody.
And I
So
just want to say this. It's perfect timing because I just told Nick, Jay, and Wiley on my other podcast. I was like, I'm burnt out. I need a couple weeks. Like I was like,
yeah,
this podcasting thing is a lot more difficult than people think. They just think that you hop on and you just start talking. Like you have to actually prepare and watch the games to know what you're talking about and not just watch the box scores. And it's a lot on my plate. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm consistently on two podcasts. I'm a single mom. Like it's a lot, work full time. And so I reached out to them last week and I was like, listen, like I'm feeling like I'm ready to quit. So I need a break. I need a quick break. Because if I don't, I'm gonna throw the towel in. So I appreciate UNDA, but also, my other brothers from the best damn W, because they know like how, you guys know how much I do and how much I endure with everything that's going on in life, even outside the podcast. And you guys respect that. And as soon as I said I needed, 2 weeks, they were like, oh yeah, no problem. Like no problem. Take the 2 weeks, whatever the case may be. So I appreciate that more than you guys know as well.
yeah, for sure. And you know how we do it. I know that we're always going to be around, from a 9450 standpoint,
Right.
but this is literally kind of our what it's not the 9450's off season per se. We won't be talking as much, but of course, shameless plug, I got Jump Ball and Study Hall coming up. So
For
I'm
sure.
gonna probably squeeze you in a couple
Yeah.
episodes here or there. But it's just been such a great honor and pleasure to be your business partner. It's been an honor and pleasure to be your co-host this year. And we had so much fun when we spoke about everything,
Yeah.
every episode. Like, it was just amazing. So I literally wanted to stop and give you like 10 minutes of pure pure flowers.
I
Like,
appreciate it. I
so
appreciate you. More
with
do you
with
know.
that with that being said, listen, we got a great show ahead of you guys tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of big themes that has gone on in the past 2 weeks. Of course, the Las Vegas Aces punching through the finals, sweeping the Phoenix Mercury, the dominance of Asia Wilson and what she means for the league, the championship parade that happened on Friday in Vegas, which was like super duper dope. And then, of course, the off season. And I'm not going to say off season drama, even though it is drama. We're going to talk about a little bit of this CBA situation and the risk of lockout for 2026, even though we don't want to manifest that. You know, the growth of women's pro basketball is larger than it seems, because we need to talk about, you know, their labor, their legacy, and the business part of it, because there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed before we can move forward in getting these amazing athletes the compensation that they deserve. And compensation doesn't have to even involve dollars. We're talking about more than just compensation from a dollar standpoint. We're talking about, you know, from a medical standpoint. We're talking about from, you know, an investment standpoint. But let's get into the sweep. The Las Vegas Aces, of course, won the WNBA championship in sweeping fashion. They captured their third championship in 4 years, which is ridiculous. The final score was 97-86 in favor of Las Vegas. This was one of the league's best from a standpoint of like viewership, because the WNBA like peaked at the highest from a viewership standpoint this year, especially with the WNBA finals being a best of 7 format. And it cemented the Aces as the modern dynasty of our time right now. We've been through dynasties.
Yeah.
You know, we've been through the dynasty of the Houston Comets, winning 4 straight in the inaugural season until 2000. We've been through the dynasty of the Detroit Shock, even though
Yeah.
they didn't win, you know, back to back. They, you know, I think they won 3 in 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through the dynasty of the Minnesota Lynx, you know, winning every other year in those 2010s between
I think it was
you know,
what, four,
2011.
4 and 6 years or
It
something
was
like
like
that.
4 and 6 years or something
Yeah.
of
And it
that
should have been
stretch.
5, low key, if
And
it
it
wasn't
really
for that
should have been
putback.
5. It really should have been 5.
That would
They
have been
did
nuts. Five and
not only
five,
the
5 and
putback,
6 years would have been nasty, boy.
not only the putback, but NECA, that ball was still in her hand
Low
with
key, it
about
was.
so
It
I
was.
know, but
But I
yeah.
need listen, I needed that. I needed that for my
Listen,
goat to, get that first
Sparks got that.
championship.
Sparks got that, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, we've been through these dynasties, and we want to just start off with your analysis on the Las Vegas Aces, you know, from a season's standpoint. You know, what were your initial thoughts after 000 hit, and you know, how did you feel, you know, coming after the Las Vegas Aces, even though they started off 500, to essentially, you know, win like 21 or 22 games and losing 3,
Yep. 24 and
something.
3.
Yeah, 24-3, you know, coming out of that 53-point loss to Minnesota in early August.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it. It could be a little bit of recency bias as well in that. So I'm gonna go and do some homework this weekend. But I think that this is the most impressive championship. And I'll say
Mm.
that because of the journey the Vegas Aces had to go through. They were 14-14 and then went on a 24-3 run. Like, that is incredible. That is extremely difficult to do. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, because what did they go, like 17-0 or I don't
Yeah, they
remember,
went. Yeah, they went
18-0 maybe?
17, and I think they went 17-0 before taking the loss to Seattle.
In that,
Um,
yeah, was that the first game? The first
I
game,
think it
yeah.
was.
The first
I
game of the
think
series they lost.
second game of the series, right?
I don't know. Don't get me lying.
It was because it was a best of
Because
three,
I
and it
thought
went
they
and it
were
went to 3.
I
It was
thought they
yeah, it was a
won. I thought they lost the first and then won the last two.
no. So they won the first, loss in Seattle because they were
And then,
up.
Okay, yeah, they should have won that game.
They should have, yeah, they
Got it.
should have
Okay.
swept Seattle, but they ended up losing. And yeah, so that first loss was to Seattle in Seattle.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So just overall, just an incredible season by the Aces. I don't think anyone outside of that, it might be one or two people, one or two fans. Like I know Danny for sure. I'm sure she's gonna listen to this, but I know her for sure. She was one of the ones that said, even when they were playing terrible, she was like, I'm never going against my team. Like they're still a championship team. And this is when they were playing bad, like terrible. And so um I'm just very impressed. Like to go on that kind of win streak against the talent that the WNBA has, and it wasn't like the end of the season was the easiest bit of their schedule. You know, they had some tough games against Atlanta. They had Minnesota. They had some tough competition. So for me, I kind of cement this championship at one of the top ones just based on all the adversity that they went through, a midseason trade. You know, people questioning Becky Hammond's coaching abilities. People saying that was probably the brains behind Natalie and Tyler were the brains behind everything that was happening in Vegas. And the camaraderie, the team building to stick together, and the resiliency for them to literally sweep Phoenix and win in this manner, like you can't write it up any better than this, to be honest. I think this championship is at least in the top 3 that I've ever seen, and not even from a competition standpoint, but from a like I can't believe they actually did it type of standpoint. And it kind of goes into that same umbrella from that Chicago team that won with Candace Parker. Because they were what, I think 16-16 or something, or
They were
maybe 18.
16 and
Yeah, they were
16.
something like that,
Yep.
16-16, and they end up winning as well. And so like those, like I think it helps with the parity of the WNBA. I know some people will look at it and say, well, the Aces finished number 2. But baby, that was not a number 2 team the whole year. Like they were,
Mm-mm.
people forget they were ninth place. And so for them to like claw their way up from the bottom of the pack to finish at 2 and then win the championship, I mean, you can't write it any better than that.
Yeah, you can't write it any better than that, like for real, because I never lost faith in Vegas, but there were times where I would look at them and I'm like, why isn't this the team that I had so much confidence in the beginning of the season? Because the acquisitions that they had in the offseason, I knew those pieces were going to be championship worthy pieces. We still had concerns about who would help alleviate Asia at times at the 4 and the 5 position. And they ended up doing something of that magnitude by trading for Nalissa Smith and giving up that first round pick, which now, when you look at it, that first round pick doesn't even look appealing at first. Like at first, it did. And people,
I'm
a lot
people.
of people didn't realize a lot of people didn't realize that, and I had to do some research on that first round pick as well. That first round pick, based on how they were playing, that wasn't even a top 5 certified first round pick.
Pick anywhere.
Even
Yeah.
even even how bad they were playing. And what turned it around was honestly not the 53-point loss. A lot of people are going to give credit to the 53-point loss being the turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
But I chalk it up to the very next game where it was the turnaround. And I can't remember. I can't remember. And I should have had this in my notes. I forgot who they played, but they, of course, they won that game. But it was something in that game where you saw a difference in what Coach Becky Hammond was doing as far as trusting who she had on her. It was the Valkyries. Thanks, kid. Shout out to kid. Um, but what she did immediately after that 53-point loss was say, you know what? I'm putting too much on 6 players that I trust. I need to put more trust into all 12, 11, 12, 13 players that we acquired throughout the season. And that's when she started utilizing KB a lot more, because there were people saying, listen, like KB ain't it. Like let's move forward from KB. But KB got something in, I don't know how she did it, and it was smart as hell. But KB got something in that contract from a rookie scale standpoint where it was just really, really difficult to move her. And honestly, I've always been a KB fan. I love KB because of what she was able to do in Florida Gulf Coast with Carl Schmesko when she was there. And for her to have the season that she had, I know that she had a real tough personal loss, and a lot of things from a basketball standpoint just wasn't clicking for her. But for her to step up and take the initiative to just be a star in the role that Coach Becky Hammond asked her to do after that loss, it was just more than what they needed. And I think she's part of the real catalyst, along with another person that I'm going to talk about, that was really the game changer throughout the entire run and also throughout the playoffs. She gave them great minutes, and she sat back on the bench and did her duty as being the greatest cheerleader that she could ever be. When she got back on the floor, she might have had some negatives in some of these games. However, those negatives didn't outweigh all of the positives that she was able to provide in the minutes that she was given. So I do have to give credit to KB. And I'm going to get into Dana Evans a little later. But me personally, it was that Valkyrie's 24-point win, as Kid mentioned. And again, thank you for that. She made it happen. And you can't say anything negative about that. Like, she literally made the most of those minutes.
Yep, I agree. I agree. And I think I also wanted to just give a shout out to Nalissa Smith, because a lot might not come up in the box score, but the fact that she was able to defend the fives and take some of that pressure, I won't even say pressure, like that physical beating off of Asia. It's difficult when you're
Absolutely.
the best player on the floor on both ends, and you're also expected to play 34, 35 minutes a game at a very high level. With Nalissa coming in as a bigger body, she could handle a little bit more of that physical play so that Asia didn't have to do it and then be struggling on the opposite end. And I'm not taking away from her conditioning, because I know Asia is one of the best, or yeah, one of the best conditioned athletes in the WNBA. But it is something to be said when your body banging in the paint, all game, and then you still have to go down and score 30. Like, Nalissa might have gotten in foul trouble, but she was able to she was able to take some of that burden off of Asia. And I think that was very helpful. I think she was able to get them more rebounds and second chance looks. So a lot of it doesn't necessarily pop out at you on the box score, but her presence there was tremendous. I mean, it was greatly felt, and it seems like she's found a home over there in Vegas.
Yeah, she's definitely found a home to me in Vegas, like you said. And Alyssa Smith has definitely, in so many different ways, just changed the trajectory of what the front court looked like. It wasn't just a situation where you could, incorporate Akia Stokes, and you're getting so many, for lack of better terms, so many complaints about offensive productivity. Kia Stokes was able to do exactly what she's always been asked to do: defend, rebound, and just be an extra body. This year, she took another role in, being a coach on the sideline. You could see her being extremely active with the front court. giving them pointers, talking from a defensive standpoint, and it really helped out the Las Vegas Aces a bunch. And I want to give her credit as well. And now she's a three-time champion along with KB. So going into Dana Evans, I wanted to talk about Dana Evans because, like, I got to give a shout out to the small guards. I was a small guard. I felt like there were times when I did play. There were many times where I didn't know exactly, how my game would help catapult a team. But then there would just be, certain games where it would click and I would be the best person on the floor. And there were games, especially in the playoffs, where Dana Evans just looked like one of the best players on the floor. She was great defensively. She was great in setting up certain actions offensively, especially in the finals where she was able to get a shot off in a couple of those games. I think she exploded for a 21-point game in one of those games at home. And, like, Dana Evans, from an overall playmaker standpoint, like one of the most underrated playmakers that we have in this league, definitely showed why she was indeed one of the best guards coming out of Louisville, as a 13th overall pick back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So for her to have two championships and for her to do it in the fashion that she did it, because she was a part of that 16-16 Chicago Sky team, a midseason trade, might I add. So what was crazy about her and having that experience, it really showed this year for the Las Vegas Aces because they had a guard that could do it all. Right? They had a guard that can defend, they had a guard that could pass, they had a guard that could score. And she increased her shooting beyond the three-point line throughout the playoffs as well. So I wanted to give her flowers, and she just kept her head down and kept playing. Some things don't work out in certain situations, but in this situation, it definitely worked out for the Las Vegas Aces because she's definitely did the doggone thing, and now she's a two-time champion. So low, what are your thoughts on Dana Evans?
I mean, it's poetic justice. Like, we saw what she went through last year, um, with a fan base that, I mean, like you said, that team just was not a good fit for her. What they were trying to do on that team was just not. It was just not a good fit for her. I don't think that she was put in positions where she was able to truly flourish and play her game. And one of the things that she said about Becky during the parade was, she was like, Becky told her, be you, like, be Dana, like, that's who we need you to be. And that's someone that can go downhill very quickly and get to the cup, get 2 feet in the paint and then pass it out, can defend you 94 feet. Someone that's just going to bring intensity and effort as soon as she gets into the game. So I think we saw all of that. I mean, and I know it's different when you play overseas, and I understand that the stats might look a little bit different just based on who you're playing. But every time Dana has gone overseas, we've seen that she can hoop. Like, we saw what she did
Absolutely.
in Louisville. Like, it was a matter of her not fitting on that team and not being utilized correctly. And so I think I know for a fact she is feeling super blessed about going over to the desert, because it low key resurrected her career. People were
Hmm.
writing her off because of all the drama that happened in Chicago, and not even really being her fault. Um, so I think this is like a great redemption tour, and I'm so glad that it happened directly after she left the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it happened 5 years from now, it wouldn't hit the same. But like that next year, and y'all did worse than y'all did last year, and I got to win a championship. Oh, now you can really talk your trash. Like, you can really talk your stuff. So I'm just happy for her. I'm short as well, so 5'6" guard. I'm always going for the undersized and the undersized guards and the underdog. So shout out to Dana. She was imperative for this Aces team to win. Like you said, 21 points in the first game. Her and Jewel, in fact, actually the bench won that first game for them. Jewel with I think 18
Absolutely.
points, Dana with 21. I think Asia had 21, but it wasn't, it wasn't a typical Asia game that we're used to seeing. Like the bench really stepped up for them in that game. And we all know Becky is not notoriously known for playing her bench. And like you said, the fact that she was able to get out of her own way essentially, right? And trust her team. I think that was literally the changing point of their season. So I agree with you there. But as far as Dana, I mean, she single handedly, of course, Jewel helped, but her her importance to this Aces team cannot be undersold. Like it cannot be like we can't just overlook her importance to them winning a championship this year for sure.
Yeah, we can't overlook it at all. And I want to talk about the importance of the three stars on in that starting lineup, and that's
Yeah.
Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young. Chelsea Gray, obviously, you know, she had such a up and down year just from a to me I think from a getting back to herself standpoint. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize in 2024 she had a lot going on. She had a hip, she had a foot, and there was just so many things in 2024 that went down that unfortunately they weren't able to win the championship um in that manner, and she still ended up getting a gold medal out of the deal in 2024. But for
Mhm.
her to come back from unrivaled and winning that championship, right, and unrivaled and getting that confidence back, coming back to 5-on-5 basketball, and again, just from the beginning of the season, a little bit of inconsistency, just
Mhm.
trying to get back into the flow of just playing natural 5-on-5 basketball. It really to me turned around like in late August, early September, where I think you could probably count on your fingers how many bad games she had,
Yeah. Yeah.
throughout that streak. So for Chelsea to, you know, ascend in that regard, I really want to, tip my hat off to her as well, because she amplified, the Aces, from an on-court standpoint. She became Becky Hammond on the court.
Correct.
Literally, you could see it. There were certain actions that you would see, from her offensively, where she saw a better read and she would change the play up in the snap of a finger. She might have seen Jackie, get a couple possessions before, where she like, no, let's run that again. And then moving over to Jackie Young, where Jackie Young has literally become Robin to Asia's Batman,
Yeah.
right? And in that
I'm gonna go out on the
times,
limb and say, K Dot,
talk to me.
best two-way guard in the league.
Best two way guard in the league. Hey,
It's
I'm not going to
between it's
argue with you on
between
that.
her it's between her and Leash.
I'm not gonna argue with you on that. I think that Jackie Young has really come into her own,
Mhm.
and she's been asked to play so many different roles for this
Mhm.
team. And
Yep.
this year was incredibly important because now, and you can, and going back to Chelsea, you can tell Chelsea was telling Jackie, listen, I'm going to take a step back. I am going to be a point guard. If y'all need me to score, then I will. But
Yeah.
I need you in Asia to run this thing like a well-oiled machine. And
Yeah.
did her, she did the damn thing. Like
Yeah.
she was incredible throughout the win streak and throughout the playoffs into the finals. I truly, truly, truly believe that Jackie Young had come into her own. And again, asked to play so many different roles since being drafted number one overall by this franchise. But to talk about the actual player in question, listen, Asia Wilson,
Hold on, really quickly. I want to say one thing about Chelsea Gray because y'all know she's my favorite point guard, and I think that she's the
absolutely.
y'all know I think that she's the best point guard of all time. Um,
Oh yeah, y'all been playing, but yeah, talk about it. Y'all been playing about her. Talk about it.
I mean, because so many people was talking cash shit about the point. God. And yet again, she has to show y'all who she was and who she is. Like, I think sometimes people equate, like, if you don't score a lot of points, it means you're not good. And they don't truly understand basketball where people have to take different roles. Chelsea could go to another team that actually needs her to score an average between 15 and 18 points a game. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
on this team this year, her role was to get everyone in position and be that general, be that floor general out there. And she did that. But that's not even what I'm here to talk about because I pulled receipts that day that they won a championship. I'm here to talk about her defense throughout the entire playoffs.
Mm.
Absolutely incredible and underrated. She was literally defending threes and fours and standing her ground. Like literally defending Satu, defending bigger bodies and stripping the ball, quick hands, getting it out in transition, like uh stepping up and getting charges called, like just defensively a magician out there. Like I to be honest, I know her incredible run, what was that in 2022?
Yep.
Her incredible run in 2022, right? I don't think anything will top that for me personally. However, her ability to play defense throughout this whole playoffs was just honestly beautiful basketball. Like it was just amazing to watch. Even if she didn't generate the steal, just her getting her hand on the ball and disrupting their offensive flow. Like Chelsea really did her big one. And I don't think people realize that most nights she was going up against someone that was way bigger than her.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Listen, for you to talk about that, that also led me to understanding how quick her hands are. Like she got so many swipes
Yes.
and like the disruption that you talked about, like so many swipes at the ball, so many new possessions for the Las Vegas Aces just by getting a hand on the ball and swiping it out of the offensive player's hands. Like
Yeah,
that's that is a skill
it
like no
is.
other. Trust me. We both know about that skill when we get caught up in a cross match. Like you know when the big wants to do their patented turn, and if they keep the ball down,
If they're gonna break it
our
down,
coach
yep.
always said, "Hey, if you see the ball down to their stomach towards their hip, swipe at the ball.
Yep.
Even if you don't, even if you don't get the ball, if you swipe at it, it's messing with the flow of their shot.
Correct.
So no
Timing is
matter
off,
what,
everything is off. Balance, everything.
timing, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a master
Yep.
at that. And listen, I can't say any more good things about the point guard. So like I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was a lot of what we felt like was missing, and I think that again Unrivaled helped that.
Yeah, for sure.
A 3-on-3 format is so important from a defensive standpoint because there's no help. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have
You on an
to guard.
island on your own,
You're
yeah.
on an island.
Mm-hmm.
You can't double. I mean, switching is the only thing that you really can do, and when you switch, it
It's a
could be
mismatch.
it could be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn how to play defense. And when you look at the the improvement that was made on that end, I think you can credit that to Unrivaled and in that 3-on-3 format.
For sure.
But as we segue into what really matters, I'm not saying that the rest of the team doesn't matter, but Asia Wilson, of course, being the hands down leader of this team, her accolades this season: league MVP, defensive player of the year, finals MVP, WNBA champion, signature shoe. What more can we say? What more can we say?
Different. Greatest
4
ever.
championships in 8 years. The greatest ever. The greatest ever.
The
And
greatest
she's
ever.
only 29 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that from a, respectfully, um and we're talking about WNBA people, like let's put a lot of context into how we evaluate um a lot of these players. There is a overall women's basketball greatness, but when we're talking about the WNBA, who has done it in the fashion that Asia Wilson has done it? The closest is probably Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops from an accolade standpoint, from a
In that short
winning
period of time too.
standpoint in that short period of time.
Yeah.
Think about it in that context. Let's not talk about longevity. We know what longevity brings you. Longevity brings you a scoring title of the league. That's what longevity
And
brings
if
you.
anything, they should be scared because if she's doing all this and she's not even 30 yet, what are the numbers going to look like when she's 35, 36?
Exactly. Especially if she's averaging close to 1,000 points per season.
Right. Right.
So respectfully, um, Asia Wilson, there's not really a lot more to say about her dominance, about
Yeah.
her performance, which elevates the Aces beyond one great player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but before we move forward to the parade, what makes her the talent that she is, that will speak volumes among generations, not only of the past, but generations in the future? Like, what makes her that great of a player?
For me, it's a number of things. I think that one of the things that stands out for me is her ability to be special and elite on both ends of the floor. She's the best player on both ends of the floor. And I think every year we have seen her game improve. It started with her face up game improving. Now she's stepping back and hitting threes consistently and shooting at a fairly high clip.
Hmm.
So I think that's one of the things. My favorite kind of players are players that can play both ends of the floor. I don't like you if
Hmm.
you can only play one end of the floor. So sorry, that's just not the kind of players that I like to personally watch. But the second point, in her consistency and her efficiency, to me, that puts her in a tier of her own. Um, Asia approaches each game with the same intensity, whether it's a preseason game or whether it's a finals game 4. And I think that's something to be said. Hell, you heard people this year saying that it was a regression type of year for her. And at that time, when they said that, she was averaging 20 and 8. Like, so it's almost like a blessing and a curse that she's so consistent because people are just used to it, right? I think a bad game for her this year. I think she had like 18 and 14. Like, you know what I'm saying? So because we're so used to seeing her being consistent and efficient, those few games that she doesn't shoot well, people saying that she regressed. And it's like, bro, she's still averaging 20 and 9. Like, or maybe it was 28, but close enough. Like, she's still averaging almost a double double. Her team just wasn't playing well. And on top of that, K Dot, she was getting tripled and double teamed at this time that she was averaging 20 and 9 because her teammates couldn't hit shots, so they would just leave them open. So to me, that's extremely impressive because no one in the league is getting double and triple team like she is, period. They're just not. Um,
No.
and the last thing I would say is just her overall composure. Like, she takes all of the weight on her shoulders and she's still able to step up every time her number is called. She's there to make the tough shots. You saw it in game 3, 5 seconds to go. She knocked that down and she knew it was going in. She's practiced this her entire life. We could even go back to the New York series when they were in New York and she hit that nice step back shot. I think it was over Stewie. I can't remember exactly who it was over. But when Don was going crazy on the sidelines, or maybe it was over JJ, I
Yes,
can't remember. But
that was
Don
over
was going,
JJ.
yeah. So Don was going crazy over on the sidelines. Like, these are big moments. It's never a moment too big for Asia Wilson, and I think that's what really makes her special. She steps up to every occasion that is brought to her table. And I don't think a lot of players are able to do that. She has a lot of pressure on her. The weight of
Yeah.
the world is on her, and she delivers every single time. People are specifically waiting for Asia to fail. People are specifically hate watching. And they're going to be waiting a little bit longer because Sister Girl is still showing up. She's still the best in the world. She's still the best in the WNBA. And that's why I was getting offended when people were saying that the nice young lady in Minnesota was the best in the world, because you have to be better than Asia in order to be deemed the best in the world. And no one is coming close just yet. And that's no disrespect to Nafisa. I just feel like when we're talking about best players in the world, there's Asia and then there's everyone else. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And for the hate watchers out there, all you're doing is just increasing the viewership. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to get into the parade and the celebration just quickly because it was a beautiful. uh, now I'm telling my age. It was a beautiful ceremony. Beautiful ceremony. Um, that was a great program. Great program. And I like what everybody said. They were short, sweet. They wanted to party. Shout out to Crime Mob. Shout out to Ludacris. Shout out to Maya. Oh my God, talking about goats.
Yes.
Maya is still such a beautiful, individual in what she's doing, in entertainment. She's been such a pioneer, in the R&B game for such a long time. But
And she's
with
from my city.
this,
Shout out to the city.
hey, shout out to the city. You know what I'm saying? So, with the,
I went
I
to middle
was,
school
I
with her
was.
brother.
Oh wow, that's what's
She used to
up.
come pick him up in the Lambo. I'm like, all right, flex on us then.
Okay, yo. So I wanted to just briefly talk about this, right? Because Asia is not only the greatest, but like, she's the greatest troll too, bro. Like for her, for her to mimic the Jordan outfit, right? From his 93 championship against Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I needed to correct. There was a tweet out there in respect to whoever tweeted it for sure. But Charles Barkley
One
actually won
MVP.
that
Yeah.
MVP that year. And that's why Jordan was so doggone pissed, because Jordan felt like he did
He deserved.
better
Yeah, he deserved it. Yeah.
in the 93 season than he did his MVP year in 92. But Barkley won it, and Jordan went on to average 41 points in the finals that year. But that's neither here or there. But for Asia to do that, it was like mad dope. And for her to have the Thanos glove,
Yeah.
like it
And
was,
then
I
the
mean,
regression year on the back, or
yeah,
the
with the regression year on the back, like that
yeah.
was, oh my God. And shout out to Jazz right quick. I had to. Um, so I just think that overall, man, congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces, man. They did the doggone thing. Shout out to Kev, who did the shirt.
Yeah.
Kev from Vegas, man.
Oh, he
I'm
made the
so
shirt.
upset. Yeah, he was
He
he
always makes that
designed
shirt though,
he designed.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like shout out to him. I was so upset I wasn't able to chop it up with him when I was in Vegas last year. But it's, man, it was just such a great season. I do want to congratulate the Phoenix Mercury. Nobody had the Phoenix Mercury in the finals, and they
Yep.
were able to do that. And do not hang your heads. I mean, it just wasn't your year, respectfully.
And
Um,
then I will say that the Phoenix Mercury had a harder path to get to the finals. So we
absolutely,
gotta respect them for that too, because they took out the defending champs, and then they took
absolutely.
out the number one team just to go and face the Aces. Like that's a heck of a
That's
playoff
a heck of
run.
a run. That's a
Yeah.
heck of a run. So I have to respect them for what they've done. But overall, man, the season has been so it was great. It didn't go the way a lot of people expected it to go, but it sure enough went the way Aces fans expected it to go. Maybe
Right.
not in the fashion that they wanted it to, but they ended up being the champions and they have a whole year or maybe more,
Mhm.
depending on what the CBA is going to do. Um, I mean, they got a lot to brag about. So I want to just quickly segue into the CBA because I listened to a pod earlier this week with Good Game with Sarah Spain, and she had an economist on, and he talked about the CBA and what it looks like from the outside in. And it was very, very intriguing to me because y'all know, y'all call me the CBA guy,
Mhm.
and there was more to what I had to understand from what he said because again, he's an economist. He understands business. He
Yeah.
understands numbers. And he also recognized that yeah, there's a difference between an accountant and an economist. And with accountants, there's different, ways that you can say that you've lost money while still having said money as considered revenue or considered making a profit. And what was interesting to me is everybody obviously know, and if you don't know, the WNBA in the current CBA, the players only make 9% of revenue share,
Right.
and if the league makes a profit, that revenue share goes from 9% to up to 25%. That's not the same in the NBA if we want to make a comparison, which I believe their CBA has been up to 50% moving forward. So he gave me an example. He gave me, like I spoke to him, but he gave an example where let's just say the league made, I think it like 300 million in
Mhm.
revenue, and he broke that up. He said like if they made 300 mil in revenue, he divvied it up to like the 13 teams, and he said each team will have like 11 million in cap space. Essentially, your star player who is making the super max or whatever the super max will be, essentially they will make 4 million.
Mm.
From what we've understood in these negotiations, they've only been asking for 850K as the super max.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I'm sitting here as a money man myself, and I'm like, really? Like y'all really gonna sell yourself that short? Y'all just want 850K for the super max when you could potentially make 4 mil? Like for real? So
Right.
for me, I'm like, nah, let's not sell ourselves short like that. I came into this in the beginning, and I was very, very passive about my approach to the next agreement. I said, listen, try to negotiate yourselves to at least like 45%, right? Do a 45-55, but hell no, I'm not doing that anymore. 50-50 split straight down the middle. Give me
Mm.
the 50% or fuck it. We not playing
For revenue sharing, you mean?
for revenue sharing.
Yeah.
So the
Woo!
way that it from what I've understood, the way that it's working right now, the NBA sold up to I think they sold up to like 16% of their ownership rights to the WNBA to that $75 million investment group.
Okay.
Part of that $75 million investment group still involves some of the NBA. So technically they only gave up 8%
Mm.
because from what I've understood, out of the 16%, 8% still goes back to the NBA because there's some NBA players and things of that nature that are investing in that 75 million. We've seen the list. So roughly 8% still goes back to the NBA. So roughly the NBA now still owns 42% of said league. Now the thing is, he said in this podcast, like, how are you owning 42% of this league, but you don't want to put any money into it, but you want to see,
Correct.
you want to get money coming out of it. Like that's just bad business.
I think they're
Like,
trying to come from the lens of like, well, we helped y'all get started. Now now we're stepping back and not trying to invest any more into it. And it don't work like that.
and I wanna mention this as well. He said that, David Stern, this was his baby. The WNBA was his baby. He wanted the WNBA to thrive, and
Mm-hmm.
it was happening. And he kind of made the analogy that Adam Silver is like the inherited uh child that
Mm.
doesn't give a shit,
Like the
really.
stepchild.
Yeah, like he really doesn't give a shit. Like, I just own this because my dad had it, and I
Correct.
don't really care about it.
Yeah.
I'm worried about other big business, and things of that nature. So for me, I'm like, nah, bro, we ain't trying to hear all that.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest thing coming out of this whole CBA ordeal, and we're gonna have another conversation with our other host of the 9450, Britt and Tay, because they work on the business side of it. We're definitely gonna have a CBA part two. Um, but my whole thing is, no, pay us what you owe us for all the years that you hold us.
Ooh.
They can talk, but money talks, so talk more bucks.
Period.
That's all I gotta say about that. And if they don't want to give the ladies what they rightfully deserve, man, don't give this league, don't pay this league any mind. Don't pay, please, please. Like, I don't. I know I ain't got it. I'm sorry I ain't got it, but I want y'all to thrive, but nah, not at the expense of y'all breaking y'all backs and only getting 9%. Come on, man. Y'all
Yeah, and I
don't even
think they're
get
in
revenue
a
for jersey sales.
right. I think they're in an interesting situation because during the last CBA, you're dealing with COVID, you're dealing with a lot of different things. And so you feel like you don't really have a leg to stand on. But this time around, you see the momentum. Like you said earlier in the show, the viewership is the highest it's ever been. You see these big name players essentially transitioning from college to the WNBA. And now we finally seen what we've been asking for years. That connection between the college fans coming over and becoming WNBA fans. And we've seen that with Caitlin Clark. We've seen that with Angel Reese. And when you have talent like Paige, who's already in the league, but you have Juju coming in, you have a Hannah coming in, you have a Fort Wiley coming in, you have so many talented players coming through the pipelines. You fast forward 4 years from now, Jazzy coming in, Sarah Strong. Like, you have a lot of players in the pipeline that this CBA is going to also affect them. So you can't just settle. You can't just settle now and just do like now they have a leg to stand on because they know that they have the momentum. They know that it's a need and a want there. People want to watch the WNBA based on the viewership. And so I think I would love for them to just continue to stand on all 10. I would hate it if it wasn't a WNBA season next year. However, I understand the importance of standing on all 10. And I think that this CBA right here is so monumental for women's basketball in general.
Absolutely.
It's so monumental. If they don't get this one right, it can be screwed for the next 15, 20 years. They have to stand on all 10 and get this one right, period. It's too important.
Yeah.
It's literally too important for the trajectory. Like this CBA, 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about this CBA and how it affected women's basketball moving forward.
And we have 11 days until we get a somewhat of a decision from a CBA standpoint. The CBA for this particular time, it ends on October 31st. This, once again, as Low provided, is going to be extremely monumental,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure that it will expire. I think that negotiations will go well into the next year. I am not an optimist, and I am not optimistic about 2026 right now. A lot of people want to talk about 2026, and everybody, I ain't gonna lie, everybody trying to be in Chicago for summertime shy for the All-Star game. But we gotta get business done first. And if we
Now,
can't
I
get
will
business
say
done,
this. I will say this. I have a source out in Chicago that said that they're a player and said that they think there will be a season next year. They think
mm,
that it's too much momentum. And now that Fee has come out and publicized everything that has happened, they think the owners and the people that need to be will get it right. Now, will it start on time? I can't say it will. But from a player's mouth, I heard that they believe there will be a season in 2026.
listen, you heard it here. You heard it here on the 9450. Shoot, we got sources. But if there is, for sure, I like now that you say that, now my confidence level has literally, I've given you a 180. Now I gotta look for hotels and I got to book for 2026 so we can have a family reunion.
Right.
Um, so with that being said, guys, listen, I want to thank everybody once again, for rocking with us all season long. I want to thank our day ones, right? Shout out to Lise, shout out to Darius, shout out to Dayshell, shout out to my man Wally out there, kid, shout out to Tom. Like I don't know if Tom rocked with the 9450 as much as he does best damn, but shout out to Nick, shout out to Jay, shout out to DA, shout out to Britt, Tay, shout out to Corey, shout out to Aya. Listen, we appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. We have a lot of content coming up in the college realm, so make sure y'all stick around and follow Jump Ball and Study Hall. And again, Lo, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much for making this such an incredible season. I feel like we've been kind of like joined at the hip again, for so
Mhm.
long that every time we bounce ideas off of each other, it's almost like a give and go or pick and roll. Like or pick and
Dribble
pop. Like
handoff.
this is what a dribble handoff. Like this is what we do. This is what we do best. We don't only, we're not only the best in talking basketball, but we're just the best at being great people. And we got people in this chat, and we got people that follow us that can vouch for us and all of that. So I appreciate you so much. But thank you guys so much for giving us a great season. This is the season wrap up. Lo, what you got to say before we head out?
I mean, I'm just grateful for everyone that taps in with us every Monday, or even if we have to change it to Wednesdays or whatever day it is. Like, y'all are consistently here. And this is exactly why we do it. I mean, if it was just me and K Dot talking all day, listen, we could talk hoops all day, probably alone, but it's better because you guys engage, you guys support. And we couldn't do this without you. And to K Dot, DA, Shantae, Aya, everyone, Brittany, everyone, Corey, everyone that's on the 9450. Um, I appreciate you all because even on some days when I don't want to do it, like I know Shantae and Britt gonna hold us down. You know what I'm saying? And so
That's a
um
Fendi fact.
we're just one big family, and we're just trying to, at the end of the day, like we're trying to push the game forward. Like we want the best for these players, and we're trying to just do our small part in pushing the game forward and highlighting the things that they do great every night on and off the floor. So another great year, and much more from us next year.
Absolutely. And with that being said, this has been Keeping It 9450, code name WBB. I am your host, Kevin K. Lewis, along with my illustrious host right over here, Lolivia Pope. And as we always say, love is love. Peace. Make sure you follow the 9450 on all platforms. Make sure you follow myself at K.Lou3H. Make sure you follow Lo at Lolo Bike and Hoops with Lo on TikTok and Instagram. Y'all, we appreciate y'all so much. We are up out of here. Peace out.